As I thought about the gospel reading for today, at least that center part, a little problem with the ones before and after, where the king went out and invited everyone to the banquet. Sure sounds like a lot of grace to me. No one was both good and bad. It didn't matter. He wanted everyone, and I think that's who our God is. In addition, if you didn't know, Paul's relationship with the people from Philippi was incredibly strong. Very, very loving, very caring, and very relational, both with God and with each other. Kind of reminded me of Cross of Grace. And as I thought about that, all of that, I thought I'd give you a little bit of what happened with me in relation to Cross of Grace. And then also what I think God is calling us to do and to be in context of Paul and the gospel. Because all of those parables, those three parables we've heard, is once we receive God's grace, then how do we respond to God's will? And I have to admit, the church wanted to put a mission here in Jonesboro or Gray, and they didn't have a lot of money. So they found some guy that they thought was quasi-retired. They could get him cheaply. They could get a half-price guy. They told me I was half-time, which there is no such thing as a half-time preacher in a mission. So what they got is a full-time guy with a half-time salary. Now, I'm not complaining about that because I came for a similar reason for my need. I didn't want to travel anymore. I love Jonesboro. And so here was an opportunity to be in Jonesboro and do ministry. And so it began. Now, I've never been a mission pastor before, and I don't think I'll ever be one again. Not because of this group, but my age. And so I was asking myself, what is God calling for us here? And I think one of the basic calls that He is making to us, most any mission, is to be part of the community. To be in the community so that we can demonstrate what God's grace is to us, experience it. And as the bishop has said to me, Ed, people I sense in this mission come to belong, not to join. Think about that. And so, as I thought about it, and as we were knocking on doors, and some of you are here because of that, some are here because for other reasons, some are here because some of us asked you to come. As I thought about that, there's three things that I think God is calling us. This is my perception. And the first one is that we are always in mission. We're always seeking people who want to belong to a faith community, who might want to share in the love and concern and support of one another along with strengthening their relationship with God through Christ. And to do that, I think, is that we're never anchored to a place. I have seen too many cases where that building and those edifices become, I don't want to call it the God, but it's close to it. That's the focus rather than reaching out. And so, there's a certain dynamic that goes on here when you're setting up every Sunday morning and taking down afterwards. It gives you a sense of temporariness. And I think that's what Christ wants us to feel. We're not part of this place. We're part of that place out there and of God in Christ. And to do that, we're all gifted. And it came to me in another conversation with a couple of people that what I think we're called to do is help each other identify our passion, the gifts we have that we use. I define that as where the greatest joy meets the greatest need, and to help support one another in that. And people will see who we are by that. So that's my story, just a little bit. That tells you a little bit about why I think I was connected here and what I think God is calling us to do and to be. So now I'd like to hear from you. Surprise.
About how we came.
How we came here and what you think God is calling Cross of Grace for, to be, and to do. And there can be a lot of silence.
I'll start, if that's okay.
Sure.
Well, I know why I'm here. The way I got here was surprising, but I think it was an evolution. I had church when I was little. I was baptized when I was 8, but I got away from any kind of organized religion by the time I was in my teens and rebelled against it for much of my adult life, and thought it was hypocritical, and the only way you'd get me into a church was either a funeral or a wedding, and that was it. And I didn't really enjoy the funerals, so that narrowed it down. And then I started getting kind of spiritual at some point or another, just a little tiny bit. My ex-husband was part Cherokee, and we started attending some Native American powwows and gatherings, and I started getting a little sense of a higher power again. And I evolved from that as I got into a 12-step program. And in that 12-step program, spirituality and a higher power are really important to getting the program. And it started sinking in. I started getting closer and closer to the God that I never gave up on. I never left God, and I didn't ever think God left me. But I just didn't have a relationship with him like I wanted and should have had. But you can't go back. And then one day a friend asked me if I wanted to come to this mission, and I thought, what? Me? Church? But I came in these doors, and I've never looked back. I felt a huge amount of love and family, and the Spirit of God is so full in this place. And for me, I don't even think of this as anything but our church. This is not the senior center to me. This is our church. And they can use it during the week if they want to. This is our church. And but as I've hung out here and been involved in different activities and stuff, I've also discovered that I do have a few areas that I believe seem to be a calling. And I would not have discovered them on my own, I don't think. I found that I seem to have a knack for talking to people and bringing them out. And I'm not bragging, I don't mean it like that, but I'm just discovering this. And it's helping me because I'm also dealing and helping out some people who are very ill. And they seem to latch on to me in a good way. And I'm enjoying the fact that I'm able to do that. But I think part of that comes, I don't think that when I talk to anybody, I'm by myself. I think that I have Jesus and God and the spirit of this whole community of faith with me every time I talk to anybody. And so that's my way of but how I believe this church is functioning.
Anybody else, or I'll go? You'll have to listen to my same old story. It's been a long journey to find this church throughout my life. The most important thing I found about this church membership, and I don't know how I want to use the word church, is we're a body of Christ. And it's the warmth and the soul, the S-O-U-L, that I have found in this community of faith. And I think the reason I really got away from all organized religion because of the hypocrisy. And I'm not talking just one religion, I'm talking quite several. And I started coming here because I heard about this new missions church that's starting. And I asked a friend from another church in this area, to come with me. And she did, and I've come since then. And I don't know how long it's been, I can't remember. You remember the first month I came, but was that a year ago or was that
Over a
2
year.
years? It was it'll be like 2 years in February.
You went to we met you at a builder's thing,
Right.
you and Sue.
Right. And it just, I'm so thankful to God that He led me here. Because, I think all the members here, we need each other. We need each other for different reasons. And there's always somebody here that's willing to give. And to me, it's just a warm soul in this community. And, we could have church under a tree. I don't think it really matters. Where we are.
Where do you think God is leading this? Have you thought about it? You don't have to answer. I'm not going to try and put anybody on the spot. By the way, I'm not going to call on anybody.
I just feel that our mission is to offer the opportunity to unchurched people to come and try us, And if they're not comfortable, well, that's fine. But we at least have given them the opportunity to. And I just think this is a very welcoming group of people here. And, we just want to make it easier in life for everybody. I mean, we all face big challenges throughout our lifetime. And if you have the relationship between you and God, I mean, you've got some power behind you. And, and I'll admit, I went through some really tough times, and I just thought I had been totally forgotten by God. Or whatever name you want to use. You don't have to use the word G-O-D. I mean, you could use any word you want to use. And if I had only realized, and I was in such a deep hole, that I just I forgot about God. To be honest, I just forgot about it. And I didn't have a church at that time. I was really burned down as far as churches go. But when I found this church, it was just, this is just a tremendous group of people, and I've never met anybody like you all. It's so heartwarming. It just makes me almost want to cry. So, and I'm teary. So, but I just think the more people that can be exposed to our membership, the more people that will be helped in this area. And I'm from Johnson City. I'm not from Jonesboro. But we can help. We can help people from all over. I mean, Limestone, right? And just that people have an opportunity to develop a relationship between them and God. That's, I just see that as our main mission.
Thank you. Yes, Polly.
And give me a high sign to cut off.
Thank you for giving me permission.
That was the sign.
Uh-oh. That's not from me.
Oh, you mentioned two things. They came and passion. It was time for me to come. I had been in the other church for 40 years and done everything you're supposed to do. I have, in addition to being a believer, I have two real passions. One is quilting, and the other one is the AIDS ministry. And the quilting I got started at the other place is still going, and it's very effective and a wonderful thing to do. However, my passion for AIDS ministry was not accepted, and I thought that was a hypocritical thing for a group of people who, anyway, I came here because it was time to move. My passion for working with AIDS people is very, very strong. There's an openness and an acceptance among that family of people similar to the openness and acceptance that we have here in this group. And I love the people. I'm kind of the mother. I've taken on the Miss Polly mother role. And one of the fellows who was here last Sunday died on Tuesday with a massive heart attack. And I've been on the phone a lot this week and on the computer talking with people. One person said, think about his death this way. And I'd never thought about that before. It was like that too before that you were talking about last week. This person said, if Bo wanted to, if Bo were allowed to come back to us, he probably wouldn't want to. And what a wonderful thing to say to a grieving family. Especially, and I believe Bo was a believer. I believe that last year when you came up, that he became a believer, as did his friend Tony. Gail knows his friend Tony. And Gail's comment, and she won't mind if I say this, when she did the medical work on Tony, she said, no, you better watch him. Well, Gail didn't know we'd been watching him for 5 years. But Tony became a believer too. And Tony called me and he said, I think I'll cry. Because Tony's a big old tough guy. He had never participated in worship. He wouldn't go to campfire. He just wouldn't enter. But last year Tony had a breakthrough. Anyway, he called me and he said, Miss Polly, I think I'm going to do a eulogy for Bo. He said, who was it? He said, I've got my Bible open and I can't hardly find it. He said, who was it said that you've run a good race? He said, I think I'm going to say that for Bo's eulogy. And I thought, my gosh, what a wonderful thing. And Tony won't mind me saying this. It wasn't something that was said in confidentiality. Tony was in prison for 10 years for allowing his friend who had just killed someone to stay all night with him. And the judge put him in jail for 10 years for harboring a criminal.
Well, that's what we're here for.
And Tony
Not to hurt.
was reaching out to others. And Bo had driven himself to the hospital and died. They couldn't resuscitate him. And Tony said, you know how it is with these medical people. They don't want to touch us. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe he could have been resuscitated. But this is my ministry, and people have been calling all week. We've been supporting each other. with faith, and knowing that if Bo wanted to come back, if he were allowed to come back, he probably wouldn't want to. But anyway, this church is like our age group. It's a family, and we support each other, and it's something that I never had before in a religious setting.
Lucy?
Pastor,
Yes.
we, my wife and I belong to a church in Johnson City, but we find the vast difference between it and here. Here we have people who care for you one for another, a pastor who preaches good, meaningful sermons that can help you through the week till the next Sunday.
Mm.
And we did not have that there. Sorry to say.
Lucy?
Sort of following up on what some of the rest of them have been saying too, is I feel one of the purposes is that we are open to all people, many of which are shunned at other places, and many of us have needs and things here, and I feel that they're being met, and I think that's what we need to be about, and I think that's what Jesus advocated in the Bible.
Sure did.
So.
Okay.
We got coming going from Gail.
We all know that. But that's okay.
She talked about it. She's like, here's his card. Just email him. I'm going to Florida for a minute. Talk to him. So she didn't know that I was emailing Ed, and he can tell you I can write some emails.
And Facebook.
And Facebook. So I gave him like our big religious history, and it's hard to be gay, go to a church, and people know if you're gay, then they don't want, it's like we would sit here and then everybody would just, and it was just different. So you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel accepted, you don't feel like you belong there. And I told Ed when he came over and talked to us, I said, now I'm not coming all the time. I said, we just want a place to come that when we want to go, that we know that we can come there and feel comfortable and feel like we belong. And we did that a couple times. And then it started being every other Sunday because Wayne works on Sunday. And then I just started coming every Sunday, and Wayne would too if he didn't work. But we enjoy coming, and we've learned a lot. And everybody has been over backwards to make us feel like we belong and make us comfortable. And that because we're a couple, it does not matter that our relationship is different from what other people think that it should be. And then the unity blessing, that came as a complete surprise to me. A good, pleasant surprise. And I was very pleased that everybody was accepting and excited about it. And went out of their way and got us the cake and kind of made everything a little bit nicer. And it meant a whole lot to us. And so we really do feel like this is where we belong.
Thank you. Well, we could go on forever, I guess. Thank you. See, I'm not going to do this every Sunday, so relax. But there comes a time once in a while, the sermon does not have to be me. You all folks all have a message. And some of you just gave them. And that's what being part of a community faith is all about. Thank you.